be a big winner in all this. What are your thoughts on Russia?
Well, I think Russia's really interesting. You know, they're talking about changing the, you know, abandoning the petrodollar, as it were. Russia's imported more gold than China, which I think was a surprise when everyone saw the numbers come out earlier on this week. And I think we've talked about you know, these creditor countries forming a parallel currency, and if there's gold backing that and they've got gold as a large percentage of their reserves, then that certainly loses a lot of confidence in these badly managed paper currencies in the Western world. And I think, you know, I've talked about this before, you know, in a paper I wrote at university, saying that this move to gold is going to be gradual. It's not going to be a sudden announcement from a government saying we're now moving to a gold standard. But I see this happening where these creditor nations who are importing gold are able to prop up their currencies with this large amount of gold.
Okay, so Jan Scoyles, amongst the currency war, the official Monetary Financial Institutions Forum, the OMFIF, they've released a report on the internationalization of the RMB. They say gold will play a vital role. So tell us about this report.
They say it will play a vital role, but you know, this isn't exactly a suggestion that gold will be remonetized or it will return to the gold standard. They talk about China, the RMB. They want it to become an international reserve currency, an internationally traded currency, and they go through the process by which this will happen. You know, they'll have to, obviously it'll have to happen over quite a few years. You know, there's capital controls going on, and you know, amongst everything else. And whilst this is happening, and as the RMB gains sort of international status and becomes a more widely exchanged currency, then gold, because it represents quite a significant part of China's dealings, will raise itself more up to the fore. And the report makes the point that it only refers to gold as an asset. It doesn't refer to it as a currency or a monetary asset. And it talks about its pros and its cons in terms of, you know, it's a good hedge against inflation, against currency wars and everything. But it doesn't see a role for it on the next standard, as it were, the next currency standard that we'll be moving on to. It just sees a bigger role for China. So it is significant, but when you read reports of this report, statements on it saying it talks about the remonetization of gold, it's not talking, you know, like Zelig was back in 2009, 2010 about it becoming part of the basket of currencies or anything like that. It's just saying that we can't ignore gold as China come to the fore with their currency. And, you know, you have to acknowledge that East Asia, which once was a huge trading and economic power, you know, several hundred years ago, that's happening again, and we have to acknowledge that gold will play a significant role. From a personal point of view, everything that's happening, you know, whether it's the Chinese currency, you know, increasing in its prominence on the international stage, or whether we're talking about currency wars and devaluation of paper currencies or fiscal policies, monetary policies, you cannot ignore thousands of years of gold being used as an international money. It's a faceless currency. And so I found this report almost quite disappointing in that whilst it does spend quite a bit of time on gold, particularly its on conclusion, it doesn't acknowledge that the gold will have a prominent role in the international monetary system on a permanent basis. It only looks at it as in a transition basis.
What about the individuals out there who are buying gold and silver? There seems to be the silver eagles in the U.S. are being sold out. People are buying gold, they're buying silver. They don't seem to be buying this idea that the paper can be solved with more paper. There's a lot of buying interest in the individual market, correct?
Yeah, and this is interesting because you know, I'm getting a lot of questions at the moment about what's happening with gold, and the price has kind of plateaued a wee bit. You know, we're in this kind of consolidation phase, and it's very easy to quickly point at this individual buying that's going on. You know, the American silver eagles is fascinating. We're seeing quite a bit over Europe. These cash for gold shops are kind of, you know, they're sort of popping up again. This demand to hold individual currencies. You know, personally, you know, in our company, we're seeing people are asking more questions about what's going on and how they can protect themselves. That cannot be ignored, but how significant that shift has to be in these Western countries for governments to pay attention, I really don't know. Because like you say, these Cameron and Osborne and your Mark Carneys and your Ben Bernankes, they don't want to pay attention to this, you know, and the $1 trillion platinum coin that came up, people weren't really looking at that going, okay, well, that means that they're onto precious metals. That wasn't what it was particularly all about either. So it just shows that they're completely missing and misunderstanding the role that precious metals could do and how people are putting their faith into them.
Right. This the $1 trillion platinum coin idea was to create a bogus platinum coin with 1 gram of platinum in it, but say that it's worth $1 trillion and to swap that for $1 trillion in fiat money. to keep from going over the debt ceiling. The fact, as you point out, that yes, platinum and gold and silver are mentioned in the founding documents of the United States and referred to and used as money, and maybe that might be a solution in getting away from paper. That was never in the conversation, right?
No, exactly. They kind of, you saw them talk about it, and you're like, yeah, you're nearly there, and then you saw the details of it, you thought, no, this has just completely been missed. You know, they couldn't understand it, and it's like we just said before, everything is just a quick solution as how they're going to get things done, and it's just, you know, how can we do this, and then we can carry on doing what we were doing in the first place. And like you say, it's in the Constitution that they should be having this, and I've actually been spending a bit of time, as boring as this sounds, looking at other countries' constitutions, and it's not just the US that say that, you know, that the country should be minting gold and silver coins. And last week I wrote something on a thing called the Trial of the Picts, where it's this time-old trial that happens in the UK, whereas if the mint is found to be debasing the currency, then the head of the mint, which I believe in this country is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, could be hung, drawn and quartered. And perhaps this is maybe something that when they're coming up with ridiculous ideas like 1 trillion platinum coins, we could maybe haul back up the constitutions and laws in the UK. We don't have a constitution here. Then, you know, that's something that they would maybe suggest more sensible policies.
That's a hanging offence.
It's a hanging
mention
offence.
that. You'd be drawn and quartered for even uttering
Chancellor of the
such...
Exchequer. I think just for the royal family.
Okay. Well, you know, we're big fans of this type of thing. You know, capital punishment for crimes against capital.
Well, why not?
Thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Thank you.
All right, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Keiser Report with me, Max Keiser, and Stacey Herbert. I want to thank my guest, Jan Scoyles of the Real Asset Company. If you'd like to contact us, you can email us at keiserreport@rttv.ru or tweet us at Keiser Report. Until next time, Max Keiser saying bye, y'all.